Damian Wayne is my favorite Robin.
What the fuck? It's okay.
So after several months of fans speculating and wondering what the future of the DC will be under James Gunn and Peter Safran, we finally got several projects confirmed as Chapter 1 of the new DC slate called Gods and Monsters, which has several things from movies as well as live action and animated shows. They said this isn't all what's part of the first chapter, but they revealed a lot. And some of these projects are interesting, but I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I'm not hyped for everything that was revealed, and I'm not gonna pretend to be. And there was something that James Gunn stated that they're gonna do that I don't think will work out in the long run, but we'll get to that in a bit. First, I want to talk about what exactly is happening with the current DCEU and the future DC projects. And it's actually what a lot of fans speculated. The current DCEU will be its own thing, with Shazam 2 and Aquaman 2 being a part of it, and then The Flash will act as like a launching point for the new DC universe under Gunn and Safran. And then stuff like the Matt Reeves Batman universe and Todd Phillips Joker movies are going to be labeled as like Elseworld stories. So projects will all be part of the new DCEU unless stated otherwise, where it will then be labeled as like Elseworld. So it's basically what people predicted. So it's good that they just came right out and said it. Although there is an interesting bit that no one really saw coming at all, and it's that they want to have a connected universe and continuity, not only between the live action movies and the shows, but the animated projects and video games as well. Meaning that if a character appears in a live action project, then the actor will be playing that same character in the animated stuff and video games, and the characters in that medium will look like the live action counterpart. Unless, again, it's stated that it's like an Elseworld story, which makes sense because Doom Patrol and Titans are about to have their final seasons, and there have been a lot of CW shows being cancelled left and right, so maybe this was all part of that. But also a lot of those CW shows kind of suck, so I'm not surprised Warner Bros. Discovery pulled the plug on them. But anyway, this is very ambitious, having one giant continuity where the actors will play the live action versions as well as their video game and animated counterparts. But this is also where my first complaint comes in. Probably the most important thing that raises the red flag is that this could really constrict a story that a video game or animated project is trying to tell, and will involve more hurdles for them to go through to make sure that they can even use the characters that they want to use and what they can really do in general. I imagine it's going to be very hard for the creators to try to write a plot when they're told that certain things have to play out a certain way with certain characters because DC already has plans for that stuff. So you can't really do what you want to do, you can only do what they allow you to do. It's mainly in the video game world where I see this becoming an issue. And in general, this sounds like it could be a nightmare to manage further down the line once this new universe gets bigger with more characters and storylines, especially trying to keep track what's happening in the animated stuff as well as video games. And as far as the actors voicing their animated counterparts, that's kind of neat. But if Marvel What If showed us anything, it's that just because they're actors doesn't mean they're good voice actors. So this seems like a pretty ambitious idea, but I think after a few projects they're going to start labeling all the animated stuff in video games as Elseworld stories and just move on from them and stick to keeping the continuity between the live action movies and shows. Like, I don't really see that working out that well in the long run. Unless of course they kind of just limit themselves to like a few official video games that tie into the main continuity, but I guess we'll see just how that plays out later on. But let's move on and talk about the projects that were announced. Now off the rip, I'm going to tell you what I don't care about and what I'm pretty indifferent to, because I'm definitely not losing my shit over every single one of these announcements. So stuff like the Amanda Waller show or the Creature Commandos animated series I really don't care about. Though the Authority movie piques my interest a little bit, but again, I'm not really excited. Although the ones that do interest me are the live action shows for Booster Gold and Paradise Lost. Booster Gold because that sounds like it could be a pretty fun concept, and Paradise Lost because I have a thing for badass chicks who could easily kill me if they wanted to. So those two definitely do interest me. But the very top of the list are the Superman movie, the Supergirl movie, the new Batman film, and the Swamp Thing movie. These are the ones that I'm most interested in. The new Superman movie will be called Superman Legacy, and no lie, that kind of sounds like a title for like a fan film. But this is the movie that James Gunn is writing. Now, this movie will test James Gunn's writing ability, because let's be honest, if you look at his comic book movies with Guardians of the Galaxy, the Suicide Squad, and the Peacemaker show, he relies a lot on the fact that the vast majority of people don't know who the characters are, so he just does what he wants with them. I mean, he's also writing the Creature Commandos show, and no one knows what the fuck that is. So I guarantee he's gonna write those characters any way he wants. Whether that's a good thing or bad thing is up to you. I think it's pretty smart, honestly. Taking a C or D list character and making them decent or at least good enough that people enjoy them, or at least the general audience enjoys them. You know, people who don't know who the character is anyway, even though they're very different from their comic book counterparts. I mean, for the Peacemaker show, James Gunn told John Cena not to read up on the character because he's doing something completely different anyway, which again has been his thing for 3 movies and 1 show so far. I'm not trying to knock the guy, clearly it works. I bring all this up because Superman is a much bigger and more popular character, so I don't think he's going to be able to rely on this tactic and write the character any way he wants. A lot of people know who Superman is and know a lot about him, so he's really not going to be able to get away with that. So I'm really curious what his approach is going to be, and this is the movie that I'm the most curious about, especially who's going to play Superman because clearly it won't be Henry Cavill. But next is the new Batman film called The Brave and the Bold. This one's going to introduce the Bat family and have Damian Wayne in it, which is Gunn's favorite Robin. Damn. Can't believe he admitted that on camera. Hands down, it's probably the biggest L of his career.
That was real gay, my nigga!
Now I'm looking forward to this one because it's Batman, plain and simple. He's a favorite superhero, so anything he's involved with always piques my interest at least a little bit. Then there's the Supergirl movie. Again, just like the Amazon show, a super strong chick who could easily end my life. I'm there for it. But I'm curious if it's going to be the same actress from the Flash movie or someone else. And hell, who knows? We might finally get a good Supergirl adaptation. Then there's the Green Lantern show, which I swear was pitched as like an HBO Max show a few years ago but was cancelled. Looks like it's getting brought back and being part of the new DC universe. Now for this one, I'm just excited to see a live action Jon Stewart. Hal Jordan is cool, but I just like Jon Stewart a little bit more. Guess you can call it nostalgia. And finally, the Swamp Thing movie, which seems out of left field, but if it's actually a horror film, I'll take it. I remember there was like a Swamp Thing show recently that ran for one season a few years ago. Was that any good? I mean, I didn't watch it, so I don't know. This one seems strange to include, especially for like the first chapter and start of a new universe, which is probably why I'm so intrigued by it. But yeah, that's basically where I stand on all the projects that were announced. There are a few other things that came out after the James Gunn video, like we have a release date for the Batman 2 sometime in 2025, as well as James Mangold, am I saying that right? Teasing that he may be involved in the Swamp Thing movie. And there was something about that Batgirl movie that got cancelled being unreleasable or something like that. Don't know, don't care. But all in all, I'm not that blown away by what's been announced. Hell, like I said, like half of these things I'm not that excited for, or even remotely interested in. But of course the big stuff like Batman, Superman, Supergirl definitely get my attention. But also maybe I'm just finally burnt out on current superhero and comic book stuff. Just so many mid or downright bad projects in the last few years that I really can't get excited for this stuff like I used to. Now I'm just more reserved and I contain my excitement. I guess my thoughts and reaction in a nutshell is what Griffey said in the beginning.
It's pretty trash.
It is trash. Yeah, it is trash.
It's pretty garbage.
Ah shit, wrong clip.
It's okay.
Really all we can do is just wait and see how these projects turn out once they actually start making them, and we get to see and hear about who's actually involved. I mean, we're still at least 2 years away from any of this coming out. I put out a post asking you guys what you thought, and most seemed pretty excited, or at least very interested. There were also several that didn't really care, and some who just didn't like it. Although on Twitter, it's like a war zone, with people arguing over this stuff. And I see this stuff, and I'll be honest with you, I don't have the energy anymore. Although it's kind of funny to sit back and watch the chaos.
Get a life.
On Twitter, my reaction was me saying that I was switching to anime. That was clearly a joke. At least you think it is until I drop an hour-long video on why Boruto is trash. But I was being hyperbolic. I don't think this lineup is terrible. I just don't think it's amazing either. But now I think it's time to ask you guys, what do you think about this new slate that was announced by James Gunn? How do you feel about the future for DC? You like it? You hate it? Leave a comment and let me know. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, go and drop a like on it. And we'll give a nice big shout out to the channel members. You guys pay for my Crunchyroll subscription so I keep watching anime. If you're interested in becoming a channel member, click the join button down below and check out the perks. If it interests you, consider joining. Or not. It don't matter.
Thanks. I cannot wait to fuck this thing.
What the fuck are you doing?
Not the kid.